What are weather fronts?
Fronts are zones of transition between two different air masses. The zone may be 20 miles across or it may be 100 miles across. But from one side of a front to the other, one clearly would sense that the properties of an air mass had changed significantly. Fronts are boundaries between air masses of different temperatures. The type of front depends on both the direction in which the air mass is moving and the characteristics of the air mass. There are four types of fronts. First, we have the cold front. Second, the warm front. Third, the stationary front. And fourth, the occluded front. Cold front. Cold front is a front in which cold air is replacing warm air at the surface. Some of the characteristics of cold fronts include the following. First, the slope of the typical cold front is 1:100, vertical to horizontal. Cold fronts tend to move the farthest while maintaining their intensity. Cold fronts tend to be associated with the most violent weather among all types of fronts. Strong thunderstorms along and ahead of the front, and a broad area of clouds immediately behind the front. Cold fronts usually bring cooler weather. Now we have the warm front. Warm front is a front in which warm air replaces cooler air at the surface. These are some of the characteristics of warm fronts. The slope of a typical warm front is 1:100, more gentle than cold fronts. Warm fronts tend to move slowly. They are typically less violent than cold fronts. Although they can trigger thunderstorms, warm fronts are more likely to be associated with large regions of gentle ascent. Behind a warm front, skies are relatively clear. Warm fronts are associated with a frontal inversion. Clouds and precipitation are quite prevalent to the north of the warm front. The third one, we have the stationary front, which is a front that does not move or barely moves. Stationary fronts behave like warm fronts but are more quiescent. Many times the winds on both sides of the stationary front are parallel to the front. Typical stationary fronts form when polar air masses are modified significantly so as to lose their character. Now we have the last one, the occluded fronts. Because cold fronts move faster than warm fronts, they can catch up to and overtake the related warm front. When they do, an occluded front is formed. Occluded fronts are indicative of mature storm systems. The weather ahead of the cold occlusion is similar to that of a warm front, while that along and behind the cold occlusion is similar to that of a cold front.